for joining us. My name is Omondi, Otieno, and this is KTV Primetime News. It is a Monday, the 31st and the last day of the month of October, the year 2022. Tonight, we have a lot in store for you in what is happening in the country and, of course, in matters, of course, also outside the country. With today, the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, launching a project that shall see the creation of 1 million jobs for the youth. Indeed, the Kenya Kwanza government is mandated and is on the course to deliver the promises it made to the youthful generation of the electorate who voted the government in. Just a lot for you, but first, let's take a look at the stories making headlines tonight. President William Ruto directs IPOA to furnish Interior Ministry with plan to end extrajudicial killings. Hearing on detention of the 9 police officers from the DCI Special Services Unit kicks off today. Government appeals for 2 billion shillings to aid in curbing the ravaging drought situation in the country. Foreign Affairs CS Alfred Mutua meets employment agencies over Kenyans working abroad conditions.
This is KUTV Primetime News with Omondi Otieno.
Welcome to the broadcast. I'm in the company of Pascal Victor, who is our sign language interpreter tonight, and we're streaming live this broadcast on our social media platforms on Facebook, KUTV Kenya, on Twitter, KUTV_Kenya. It's also live on YouTube at KUTV Kenya Live. And of course, in the course of this bulletin, we shall be having a discussion focusing on the state of politics in the country. Now, the government is appealing for 2 billion Kenyan shillings to secure relief food for the drought-stricken counties across the country, which shall cushion 4.5 million Kenyans who are in dire need of food and water. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua gave the clarion call while launching an entrepreneurship program aimed at creating 1 million jobs within the next 1 year.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua said the government is in need of 2 billion Kenyan shillings to secure relief food for the drought-stricken counties countrywide. This comes after an ongoing drought that has rendered 4.5 million Kenyans in dire need for food and water, and a further 2.5 million livestock have perished. In a meeting with the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, Gachagua lauded private sectors for their plan to improve access to water for domestic and agricultural use. So far, 114 million Kenyan shillings has been raised through Pamoja Tuungane initiative towards drought management and relief activities.
The government of President William Ruto has agreed the tool for governance is continuous engagement with those stakeholders. You will never go wrong when you engage.
The Deputy President noted that a multi-sectoral approach is a fine way to develop strategies to mitigate the drought situation in the country. The Pamoja Tuungane initiative by the private sector in a partnership with the government will run from October 2022 to March 2023. It aims to mobilize 1 billion Kenyan shillings towards food, water, cash transfers, and health.
We shall continuously engage with KEPSA so that we borrow from what you know. We tell you what we know. We put the ideas together and come up with a win-win situation.
A report by the National Drought Management Authority reveals 29 counties across the country have been stricken by drought, with 10 of them severely affected. The 10 include Garissa, Isiolo, Kajiado, Mandera, Marsabit, Laikipia, Samburu, Turkana, Wajir and Kitui, with Tana River being the reason to join the list. Shadrach Simiu, KUTV.
Thank you, Shadrach, for that report. Now, the Akorino Hustler Association Party, which was formed during the campaign period and its name coined by President William Ruto, has asked the government to consider them in appointments to the administrative positions, saying that they are qualified and are willing to work together with the government. They reiterated that in their service, they will prioritize the interests of the citizens in their service, as our reporter Edward Nyamu now gives us the details.
Members of the Akorino who today met in Nairobi congratulated the Kenya Kwanza government for securing power. Jeremy Mboro, who is the chairperson, has asked President William Ruto to consider them when allocating posts in the government offices.
We commit our support as the Akorino to fully support this government and pray for its success. For it's worth noting that the country is not in a good state economically. We also wish to make a prayer to the national government and the county government as they constitute their workforce to remember our members and include them in their respective governments.
The members have said that they played a big role in ensuring that the Kenya Kwanza government gets to office, and therefore they should be rewarded with seats in the Ruto Rigathi regime. Sean Francis, the secretary, added that they are qualified and strongly believe in the bottom-up initiative.
Kwamba vile tumesema Akorino kuna wale ambao wamesoma zaidi. Tuna wale ambao waliweza kuapply kazi za PSS, lakini shortlisting tukuweza kupata hata ambaye aliweza kufaulu. Pia positions za chief officers, I can confirm kuna Akorino ambao wameapply katika hizo county.
The members further thanked the government for being a God-fearing administration, saying they fully support it as it undertakes its promises to the people of Kenya.
In our Akorino community, wamama na vijana, we are the biggest team. Na sisi wote tuliamsha watoto wetu tuende tukavote for our president. Kwa hivyo tungeomba sana, sababu vijana wetu wamesoma, wamama wetu wamesoma, wazee wetu wamesoma, tungeomba sana hii serikali wanavo iuda ama vile wanaendelea kuuda the county governments, the national government, serikali ikumbuke kwamba kuna wale watu waliwapea kura wanaitwa Akorino.
The association has reiterated their backing of Ruto, putting prey in their interest to be part of the ruling side and also targeting the Sakaja and Wamatangi governance to include them in their cabinet, further inviting the president for a fellowship with them. Reporting for KUTV, I'm Edward Nyamu.
Thank you, Edward Nyamu, for that report. Now, away from that, President William Ruto has directed the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, IPOA, to come up with a plan that will bring to an end the extrajudicial killings. In a meeting with the IPOA board at the State House in Nairobi today, President ordered the IPOA to hand its plan to the Ministry of Interior and National Administration.
The directive by President William Ruto to Independent Policing Oversight Authority (IPOA) comes after the disbandment of the Special Service Unit linked to DCI, stating it was involved in extrajudicial killings. There are high expectations in reforming the police unit after President Ruto's directive to IPOA to come up with a plan that will bring to an end extrajudicial killings. President Ruto has reiterated that his administration is committed to work with IPOA to stop extrajudicial killings in the country. The meeting comes in the wake of a tussle between IPOA and the Police Internal Affairs Unit over who should have been in charge of investigating the DCI officers from the disbanded Special Service Unit. Immediately after President Ruto's order to disband SSCU, 9 officers under DCI have been arrested and reprimanded for offences of conspiracy to commit a felony. IPOA has been directed to hand its plan to the Ministry of Interior and National Administration. Shadrach Simiu, KUTV.
Now, 9 police officers from the defunct DCI Special Unit were presented in court today for a hearing on application the prosecution has made to detain them over the disappearance of 2 Indian nationals and their Kenyan driver as investigations proceed. Now, the officers denied being near the 2 Indians, Zulfaq Ahmad Khan, Mohammed Zaid Sami Kidwai, and their taxi driver Nicodemus Mwania, whose whereabouts are not known since the July 24th. An affidavit filed in court by the Internal Affairs Unit of the National Police Service revealed that several officers from the disbanded unit had been trailing the 2 Indians from Westlands to Ole Sereni in Nairobi. And away from that, the opposition leader Raila Odinga has accused the government of re-engaging in some of the promises made to Kenyans during the campaign period. Odinga pointed out that the government is yet to lower the price of fuel and other essential goods, which President William Ruto said that will come down as soon as he is sworn in. Odinga said that they would mobilize MPs to reject the proposed increments on NHIF and NSSF contributions, calling out the government for what they termed as making a unilateral decision on the taxation matters without carrying out proper public participation. Now, the Azimio Coalition Party leader was speaking at the burial of the Kakamega Governor Fernandez Baraza's mother, Mama Philomena Mutelwa, in Mumias County. Right, and now the new Cabinet Secretary for Labour and Social Protection, Florence Bore, has promised to promote accessibility of the National Security and Safety Funds, NSSF, and the Inua Jamii Fund to enhance social protection. CS Florence Bore spoke on Monday after taking over the Labour Ministry at the Social Security House in Nairobi, as Jeff Mwangi comes with the details.
Having been successfully appointed to serve the Labour and Social Protection Cabinet post, Florence Bore today was officially handed over by outgoing Labour CS Simon Chelugui. Bore said she will immediately make NSSF funds and Inua Jamii funds accessible to vulnerable groups as a measure to enhance social protection.
As I take over, my priority agenda will be to sort out the issues on the plight of Kenyans in the Gulf region. Unlocking the NSSF Act number 45 of 2013, operationalization of the Wages Order 2022, implementation of the Children's Act.
The CS pleaded to the National Parliament to increase budget funds allocated to the social protection docket.
I pledge to lobby the National Assembly and the National Treasury to ensure that more funds are allocated for social protection intervention so that we can have more Kenyans, especially older persons, persons with disabilities, to benefit from these government transfers.
The outgoing CS of Labour, Simon Chelugui, newly appointed to the Cooperatives and Medium and Small Enterprises docket, called for the World Bank, UNICEF and World Food Programme to contribute to enhancing social coverage funds all over the country. As he takes a role in Cooperatives and Medium and Small Enterprises Ministry, Simon Chelugui said he will use cooperatives to raise social protection funds.
Over the docket of cooperatives and MSMEs, I will continue to work closely with you, Waziri, both labor and social protection, especially on what has been alluded by the chair NSSF. The two ministries, the NSSF and cooperatives and MSME have common objectives. We can use cooperatives, MSMEs, to raise savings, to promote savings among the small businesses.
Both secretaries said that the Cooperatives and Medium and Small Enterprises docket will collaborate together with Labour and Social Protection Ministry to ensure that the citizens are served. Jeff Mwangi, KUTV.
Trade and Investments Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria is in South Africa in preparation for President William Ruto's state visit in November. Now, Kuria arrived in Pretoria on Sunday for a bilateral and investments review meeting with his South African counterpart Patel Ibrahim. And Odida with the details.
Exactly 4 days after swearing in of the cabinet secretaries under the Ruto Gachagua government, Trade and Investment Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria left the country for South Africa, where engagement preparations for President William Ruto's debut state visit to South Africa next month began. In a statement in his Twitter account, Kuria said, in the next 48 hours, he will outline the measures that the government of Kenya will be taking to enhance trade ties with South Africa. President Ruto's expected visit to South Africa later next month will be his 5th state visit to another country as president after Ethiopia and Tanzania. He had earlier in October 8 visited Uganda to attend the country's Independence Day celebrations, in which he also had bilateral talks with the Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni. Anodida, KUTV, Nairobi.
Now, Kenyans and various leaders across the country have condoled with the family, friends and the relatives of the former Laikipia County senatorial aspirant Steve Chege following his death. Now, Chege died while receiving treatment at Kenyatta University Referral Hospital. His death comes after he was involved in a tragic road accident along the Northern Bypass Highway in Kiambu County. Chege vied for the senatorial post in Laikipia County under the Jubilee Party ticket and lost to John Kinyua of UDA in the concluded general elections of 2022. 17 minutes past the top of the hour. It's time to take our first break here on KTV Primetime News. In a moment, we shall be coming back with a discussion looking at the state of politics, the ones and twos that has been done with the current government led by the President William Ruto, and of course with his right-hand man Rigathi Gachagua in delivering the mandate of the Kenya Kwanza government to the electorates. Stay with us. See you in a moment.
Sasa ni bora zaidi, mwanzo mpya, mambo mapya. Msimu mwingine wa Boresha Kilimo unakuletea teknolojia ibuka, kilimo mseto, uongezaji thamani. Teknolojia dijitali ya mauzo inawezesha ufikiaji wa masoko. Sokomoko yako, mahangaiko yako ya kufikia masoko yamefika kikomo, manake tunao Mkulima Yangu.
What Mkulima Yangu does is it connects farmers with the market.
Hii ni Boresha Kilimo kwa ushirikiano na Mkulima Yangu. Atafutaye hachoki na kichoka kesha pata. Kwa makala maalum ya kilimo, ungana nasi kila Jumamosi saa 6:30 kwenye kipindi ukipendacho Boresha Kilimo.
Unemployment has hit you hard. Your salary is meager. You decide to venture into business, but you're struggling to thrive in it. You would want to reap a big tip on how not to run into losses.
Forget the preachy business blogs, the hyperbolic motivational speeches, and all the roads down desperation.
Hope has come with model stories from small successful entrepreneurs. We tell you these tales weekly on The Budding Entrepreneur. Join us as we help you make your trade profitable and often smile to the bank.
I'm a freshman in Kenyatta University. This is all what I've heard about campus. Campus is full of freedom.
Ni cumulative.
Mchezo hiyo ili poka gani kwani?
I'm a fourth year student and I mostly hang out at shopping center. I'm an arboretum And what I'd tell pastors is it's never too late to start being serious.
So now, our platform has been made in such a way that it's very, very simple to use. Our interface is very simple to use. If you need to make a call, it's just a simple call button and the call goes. If you need to receive a call, it's just a simple answer button and you're able to answer. So we've made the solution in such a way that it's easy enough for even myself to explain to my grandma back at home. So that is one of the things that we fully focus on. Ideally, one of the biggest reasons why we actually decided to build this in Africa is because of support services. So even before we let you start using the software, we have a short implementation period where we help you do the customization.
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
But folks, I'm going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
People pass vuguvugu. People pass ni idea.
Tazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Kwa sasa wanatoa wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, ndio inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni duniani leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
Children are really respected. You know, their views are respected, and in this country, we have even a parliament for children. We have an assembly for children where they meet and discuss their issues. So they have a say, they have a voice, and the laws and the government, like we said, has really tried to enlarge that voice.
You are watching KUTV Primetime News with Omondi Otieno.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Time for our discussion, the state of Kenyan politics. And of course, probably if you might be having questions for our guest, tell us on the comment section on KUTV Kenya on Facebook, on KUTV_Kenya on Twitter, and on YouTube KUTV Kenya Live. You can also find me on Twitter at Omondi_Otieno. Now, the government of the day, headed by President William Ruto and his right-hand man, Rigathi Gachagua, is all out to deliver the ambitious promises they made to the electorate during the campaign's period. And following the official swearing in of the cabinet secretaries, the new cabinet is all out in different dockets, ready to dispense their duties. And the space seems to be good, even with the rollout of the program that is looked forward to creating 1 million jobs for the youth in the next 1 year. That generally forms the basis of our discussion tonight. And joining me is our seasoned political analyst, Kotunde. Thanks so much, Kotunde, for dedicating time for this discussion.
Thank you very much for the invitation, and also to share with Kenyans how we can embrace the new government and even work with the government of the day and revive the economy.
All right, so that's interesting, Kotunde. Now, we have seen since the swearing in of the cabinet secretaries, a lot of activities have been going around, have been going on in different dockets. Today, of course, probably what is most recent is the old cabinet of the former president Uhuru Kenyatta handing over to the new cabinet secretary. So, with what you have seen so far, because when they are being handed over these dockets, we have seen some of them, of course, like the trade cabinet secretary, that is Moses Kuria, is already in South Africa, ready to welcome the President William Ruto for the bilateral talks. And of course, you also have seen today the foreign cabinet secretaries, that is Alfred Mutua, holding a meeting with the employees who employ people in the Western countries, rather in the countries in the Middle East. So the pace that you have seen this new cabinet coming in with, will they help really this government deliver the ambitious promises the government of the day had during the campaign period?
First of all, I want to appreciate and congratulate the newly installed CSS at different capacities. And then two, I really want to appreciate what they have already taken in terms of the first days in office, whereby like yesterday and the other day we saw CS Ababu Namamba Sports. Today we've seen Alfred Mutua, and then we've also seen Moses Kuria. All this is majorly to help revive the dilapidated economy, and I believe going forward, if it is properly done with good intentions, without any hidden agendas, then I believe we will automatically revive the economy under this leadership.
All right. And of course, probably in talking on the line of reviving the economy and probably meeting all the promises that were made to the electorate. We have seen today ODM leader Raila Odinga when he was in the burial service, of course, of the Governor Barasa, who lost the mother. He was saying that this government has been lying to the people of Kenya because during the campaigns period, whatever President William Ruto said, that when they take office, the first thing they're going to deal with is lowering the price of fuel, the price of unga, and this is not happening any soon because President was on record saying that let Kenyans give him time. I said not in 100 days, but in 1 year, that is when probably Kenyans will feel the impact of food prices and fuel prices being lowered. So why are we seeing different scripts from leaders of the same country?
First of all, to our esteemed leader, that is Raila Amolo Odinga, we want to appreciate the fact that he accepted the results and we have a peaceful state. He has all the rights as the chief of opposition to criticize everything that the government is doing. But fact be said, and we must stand with facts. And I'm going to be telling Kenyans that this government is new, and therefore we must give the government of the day time, enough time, to at least achieve what they really planned for this state. And to the newly installed CSS, to me, I think we can start counting the 100 days right from just 3 days, 4 days ago. This is the time they have just been installed. They have just been given the keys to these offices. They are trying to find their ways. So after the lapse of 100 days, right from the days they were installed, that is the time we can now say the government is failing. But as of now, it is still early to preempt that going forward, the government is going to fall. So I want to tell the Azimio team that they have the right to criticize, but logically, even if they were the ones who ought to have been in the same position, then we could be very, very sober enough to give them time right after handing over. You only held someone accountable once he has been given the mandate by the given bodies. That is when, from there, you can now say you were given a given period of time, it's not properly done. Then why were you saying the different take of your manifesto? Yes.
All right, interesting. Now, another thing that popped up today, because, we understand the leader of opposition, Raila Odinga, was in the Western Kenya. And one of the leaders, of course, in the Western Kenya, who is so vocal and served the people of Sirisia, that is in the Western counties, Honorable John Waluke, who was sentenced for 67 years in prison. Raila Odinga said today that it was unfair of how the court handled the matter of Sirisia MP John Waluke, and of course he demanded that John Waluke should probably release on bond. So whatever Odinga was saying is that the government of the day was punishing Waluke because of his political affiliations. Because on the same note, of course, he also raised concern concerning the DPP, of course, dropping charges to some of the cabinet secretaries who are just sworn in the other day, because they also had cases in court and, prior to their swearing in, prior to their vetting in Parliament, some of their cases were being dropped. The DPP is citing that there was not enough or sufficient evidence meeting the threshold for them to be prosecuted. So what do you make of this when Odinga is now calling for the release of John Waluke? Do you think probably this would also give a leeway for some of these criminal activities to be done in the country? And of course, probably when it comes to the prosecution, you find that the opposition will be saying this, and probably even the government will be defending them in saying one or two things.
Based on my own understanding, we must be in a position to accept that the supreme law must be respected. And when the law found out that Major Waluke was guilty, I think in their own thinking, they were right as per what they gave. To our Azimio leader, if he is ready and in his own thinking, think that what the law or what the judges did to Major Waluke was not equally right, then it ought to have not been said at the funeral. He ought to have taken the lead by going to the courts and requesting that even in writing. Then it's like Raila is out to give the listeners what they want to listen to.
Right.
Not the solution. Because if you go to a funeral and then you start saying such, it will be like, for me, I was for your son. Yet the sitting government is the one frustrating our son. I'll not love it to go that road. I'll prefer that he takes the lead to the courts, and then thereafter let the rule of law be followed, not like what is doing in barazas and Jivanji gardens and things to do with the burial sites. I don't think that's what the class and the calibers of Raila.
All right. Now, Kotade, maybe finally, with as we wind on Raila Odinga, of course, now the chief of opposition in this, we heard yesterday when the second in command, Rigathi Gachagua, was in Murang'a County in Kandara, saying that they actually told off the chief of the opposition, Raila Odinga, saying that we don't want you anywhere close to this government. When he's made an example that when Raila Odinga made a handshake with the former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, he spoiled everything. That is, I'm quoting, of course, on what he said. That you remember when they had the handshake, what happened to the government? They spoiled everything. So, do you want him close to this government? The answer could not be in the affirmative. So what does this mean really? And of course, moving forward, is it really necessary? Because he's saying the Rigathi Gachagua was alleging that people are trying to coerce the government to work with the Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. So at this point, do you think whatever the second in command is saying is right? That they really don't need this mzee, this Raila Amolo Odinga, of course, in the government, and probably if he gets a chance to work with this government, will he be of any impact to this government?
First, our DP is right in his own statements. Just as we saw the other time, handshakes are not bad, but under what circumstances? Because each and every handshake, it must come with a price. As we speak, the Kenya Kwanza team are in a position and they are ready to rally their manifesto going forward. It is right to say that Raila should not be close to the government. I mean, he should be in the oversight side.
Right.
And the moment he will be coming close to the current Kenya Kwanza government, who will now be leading the chief opposition leaders to keep the current government in check. It will not be okay because one, they were not having the same manifesto. The manifesto for Azimio is quite different from the manifesto which is being implemented by the current Kenya Kwanza government. And therefore, they will be reading from different scripts. And by that, it will properly delay service delivery. Thereafter, it will be like you joined us, and then we will automatically be owning the blame. We don't want to assume that Raila will be owning the blame.
But maybe continue if just to ask on that, because you see the current setup of the Kenya Kwanza government, where President William Ruto is at the top, and whoever comes the third most powerful person, not according to the constitution, but the arrangement they do to the executive order that were made. That is the leader of ANC, Musalia Mudavadi, who is now the chief cabinet secretary to this government. So you understand that really, even before the formation of the Kenya Kwanza government, we had ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi. They were in the One Kenya. Was it the One Kenya, right? They were in the One Kenya with, of course, Moses Wetangula together with Kalonzo Musyoka, and now later on when this integrated, when Kalonzo Musyoka, of course, went to Azimio, making it Azimio One Kenya, and of course they came together with Wetangula to Kenya Kwanza, joining UDA rather to form the Kenya Kwanza government. So do you think probably this is something that might, of course, probably even work, because they were reading from different scripts and people could not even imagine that ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi could work with the government, could work with UDA to form the Kenya Kwanza government. So is it probably the same thing that could happen? As much as yes, Azimio had a different manifesto with what this government had, they can still, align their diapers and work together probably if it's anything to go by.
In politics, continue for pray that in politics, people have interest.
Mm-hmm.
And we have interest and offers. When it comes to the just concluded election, Kenya Kwanza team, before the chief minister joined, there were some negotiations in terms of numbers, in terms of regions, in terms of who can help us implement the said KK manifesto. And what was offered to chief minister is the reason as to why he decided to jump the ship. Towards the end of this election, there were some other negotiations where the current CS for Foreign Affairs, Dr. Alfred Mutua, crossed over. He crossed over because the negotiations and the offers which were based and placed before him were better than the ones which he was promised in the Azimio government. Correct. Therefore, if in the case, leaving that aside, if in case the president or the KK government made plans to work together with Azimio, I don't think that will be for the good of the common mwananchi. Because it will be like dancing and dining with your enemy. Yet, you want things done to this great nation.
Right.
Yes.
All right. And probably, Kotonde, on the same note, when this handshake was made in 2018, was it really necessary? Because was it really necessary? Because we understand probably in 2018 there were divisions in this country where people, who are following the sitting government. Of course, we also had people who are strongly held to the opposing government, that is Raila Amolo Odinga. Now, when Raila Amolo Odinga, when they made this handshake, they said they did this great sacrifice to unite this country. Now, looking at probably the chances that might lead to another handshake in this regime, is it really necessary, really, that probably Odinga might come, not even Odinga, but any other person who is in the opposition, who is not working with the government, probably coming that saying that we have a gap here, we have a lacuna that probably needs to be filled with another form of handshake?
Back in 2018, if I can take you back then, immediately after the election, the state of events was there was kind of like a division whereby people were saying we don't need to be led by this government, the just concluded government of Jubilee. And therefore, it was like the country was unmanageable. And the only person who could quell this tension was by bringing Raila on board. Because he had a great following. By bringing him on board, it did not mean that he was now part and parcel of that very, very government. But it was just to quell the tension, to at least make stuff run going forward. As you speak, I don't see any sign of tension. Because the election was done, there is no tension. The results were announced, nobody complained. The whole state respected the court rulings, and therefore there is no need for calling for an alarm.
All right. Now, maybe on that, because you've noted that there's no form of tension that would necessitate a handshake. But looking at probably now, because what necessitated the 2018 handshake was the division that was in the country. But now, the problem at hand right now is reviving the economy. We understand that during the campaign periods, Raila Odinga was campaigning on the docket, saying that he wants the third liberation of this country, which would be the economic liberation. And of course, even on the Kenya Kwanza front, when they were campaigning, the majorly campaign was on the side of the economy. Now we are seeing a country that is suffering economically, and maybe if to revive this country economically, what we would need is technocrats and not just politicians who will be, yapping here, yapping on the other side, saying a lot of things and probably no actions. Now, we've seen today what happened. The Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, launching a project that is aimed at creating 1 million jobs for the next 1 year. And of course, the same government promised that in December, they will be launching the Hustler Fund to help this government. So, looking at now, the thing that were promised, and probably one or two things that have been implemented so far, do you see this government within the span of these elected, within the span of their term, delivering, of course, to the mandate they had, and probably liberating this country economically as they had anticipated during the campaign periods?
The current government is trying her best. One, people really talked about it, but it was not right. They introduced the GMOs. By doing that, they were doing so to at least rejuvenate the current economy, the current dilapidated economy.
Mm-hmm.
That, I can say, could help. Two, the same government subsidized fertilizers.
Yes.
Which they were doing that such that towards the end of the tunnel, at least they will find time to at least rejuvenate and revive this economy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and also these projects which the DP just started will automatically spearhead a lot of opportunities for our youths,
yes,
who are so much in need of job, and the moment they're kept busy, the economy will automatically rise.
Right.
Yes, and therefore I want to appreciate that it might not really take the shortest time so far, but going forward, as I said earlier, let us give the government of the day time.
Right.
If it is not given time, then we will automatically be keeping on questioning, and also just a matter of not understanding what it takes to run the government.
All right.
Things must be placed in order. And you cannot lie that within 30 days or 1-2 months, things are already in place. No,
right.
Things must be put in place, and therefore, let's give this government time, proper time.
All right.
Other days will automatically move. But for reviving the economy, it will automatically take about 1,000 days.
All right.
Close to 3 years.
All right, Utonde, that is very, of course, making a lot of sense to the Kenyans. Probably as we wind up, I'll give you a minute to wind up this. What would be a final take? Of course, probably telling Kenyans what they need to know, and probably what they need to do in order to help this government achieve its mandate. Just in a minute.
Okay. Fellow Kenyans, I want this message to reach home to each and every corner of the state, and even the diasporans. The government is new, and when the new government is in place, you must be ready to go through hard times. The government is new. The CSS in place, some are very new. They have never been in such positions. Let's give them time. 2, to our counties, it is your time to work with the government. Counties presumed to be Azimio zones, that is Western, Nyanza, Mombasa, that is coastal region, it is time to work with the government. The government of the day is none other than Kenya Kwanza. And by not working with the current government of the day, you are denying Kenyans great services which ought to have been trickled down to them. And I want to request that the MCAs, you are also given money. Empower the people on the ground. Give the governors time. We don't want to see the wrangles which we just witnessed down here, Meru. By fighting, having unnecessary wrangles, you delay service delivery to the country. You delay service delivery to the common mwananchi. As they always say, that when people are fighting, majorly when the bulls are fighting, those who are feeling the pinch and the wrath, the grass, quench your thirst. I know those fights are promulgated by one or two persons who are having the interest of maybe being a governor.
Right.
Kindly stop the fights. Let's get back to business and bring this state to a greater level, because it is already dilapidated.
All right, that's it. Thank you so much, Kotonde, for that. We're taking a very short break. Shall we come back with more? Stay with us.
Why are you taking medicine? Are you okay? Yes, I am. The tablet is for HIV prevention.
Pre-exposure prophylaxis, PrEP, refers to antiretroviral drugs taken daily by HIV-negative people who are at ongoing risk of HIV infection to reduce their chances of becoming infected. If used consistently, PrEP can reduce the risk of HIV infection by over 90%. However, because it does not protect against unplanned pregnancy, it should always be used with a family planning method. To get PrEP and any other HIV prevention measure, visit a healthcare provider. To talk to someone on PrEP, Uliza Masco at 0800 724 848 or use direct line 0726 460 000 or 1190. This message is brought to you by the National Syndemic Disease Control Council.
Vera Beauty Washington is the leading technical and vocational training institute in the region. Our team possesses in-depth knowledge and extensive experience in the industry, offering better training in cosmetology, hairdressing, interior design, creative arts, training of trainers, hair technology, and fashion design, with branches in Nairobi, Thika, Airfield, and now in Mombasa. Our courses ensure that learners are completely equipped with knowledge, competencies, and ability skills. Enroll today to be a part of the center of excellence.
For staying with us. Now, Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Alfred Mutua had a meeting with the representatives of employment agents who recruit Kenyans for jobs in Saudi Arabia and other regions in the Middle East in a bid to assess the gravity of the situation. In a statement on March 31st, he noted that the aim was of the talk was to find possible solutions to ensure that the plight of Kenyans in the diaspora were catered for.
Incidents of death and torture of Kenyan migrant workers in the Middle East, particularly in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, have become a worrying trend in Kenya. Latest being of one Diana Cheptumoi, whose photos in which she looked frail elicited an outrage in the Kenya online scene, along with claims that she was facing employer abuse and neglect. After the swearing-in ceremony of the cabinet secretaries on October 27, the newly appointed Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Dr. Alfred Mutua on Monday, October 31st, held a meeting with representatives of employment agents who recruit Kenyans for jobs in Saudi Arabia and other regions. In a statement, the CS noted that the aim of the talks was to find possible solutions to ensure the plight of Kenyans in the diaspora was catered for and to highlight different stories from the blame game aired on different media channels of the country. As a result, Mutua found that he will travel to Saudi Arabia this week to engage authorities and Kenyan diaspora to enable him to institute long-lasting solutions to the challenges faced by Kenyan workers. This comes in the wake of perpetual allegations of mistreatment of migrant workers in the Gulf country. In a letter dated September 16, 2022, the Ministry of Labour stated that the government of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia had formed the Protection and Support Department under the Ministry of Human Resources and Social Development to handle all complaints from migrant workers, recruitment agencies, and embassies. The Foreign Affairs CS pointed out that the government was keen on ensuring the safety of Kenyans in the diaspora and also finding competent solutions for both parties. Anna Vida, okay, TV.
Let's now take a look at what's happening in the world of sports. Now, Vihiga Queens left back Enes Mango is targeting promotion to League One Feminine after finally signing a two-year deal with the Romanian second-tier side, Parol Constanta. Mango proved potential by being part of the Vihiga team that won the Sekafa Club Championship after overcoming Ethiopia's Commercial Bank in the finals last year, together with having an impressive performance during the trials that have lasted more than 1 month. A Brazilian superstar named trial in Spain over his transfer to Barcelona in 2013 has wrapped up today after the Spanish prosecutors dropped their fraud charges against the player last week. The 30-year-old and the key member of the Brazil team heading to the World Cup in Qatar next month, together with 8 other defenders, including his parents, made closing arguments to Barcelona court. Now, lack of enough evidence by the Spanish prosecutors, who had been seeking a two-year prison term and a fine of 10 million euros for Neymar, made the state prosecutor withdraw all the criminal charges against him. And the Gunners garnered a 5-0 victory against Nottingham Forest to Arsenal's 13